Hello everybody, my name is John Mark Johnson Jr. I am the host of Reformed GJ, and today I am here to tell you about a modification, or kind of a series of modifications that I'm going to be making to my Grand Power Stribog SP9A3. Now, before I go any further, I need to put a caveat out there for my future viewing audience. I need to make a note of the fact that I am recording this on the 6th of September, and therefore certain additions, certain accessories are perfectly fine and legal at this point. We will see what happens in the next couple of days, but as of the time of this recording, the accessories that you see on this gun as configured are perfectly legal right now. This may change in the future, but right now it is what it is. As to the modifications, they are such that I'm going to wind up calling the new gun when it's finished a StARpion. Bear with me now. It's a combination of letters from three different platforms, basically. I'm obviously starting with a Stribog as a base, so the ST comes from that. And it's going to be such that it's going to take things like AR grips and AR drop-in triggers. So the next two letters will be from ARs because it takes some of their components. And the main thing is that it is going to be such that it will take a different kind of magazine, the StARpion magazine. So that's where the last letters come from. So you put it all together and it becomes the StARpion. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be converting this thing into. Now, a lot of people would say, if the gun isn't really satisfactory to you, why invest all the time and money into, changing it, essentially? Why not just go out and get a better gun? And that's a perfectly valid objection. There's lots of people out there that want their guns to run correctly out of the box, and I completely sympathize with them. But I'm also the kind of person that, while I do like whatever I buy to work correctly the first time you use it, I'm also the kind of person that I like to tinker with things and play around with things and see, well, this work if I put these things together this way. When I was a kid, I played with Legos and Connects and all those kinds of things that you could build in different ways and whatnots, and I'm still kind of like that as an adult. I still like to tinker with things. And frankly, there's a lot of you that are out there that are like that as well. And let's be honest, the reason why a lot of people get into ARs is because you can mod them in all kinds of crazy ways, and people like modding them. They really like modding them. Okay, so don't get mad at me for something that you do as well. Okay, it might not be to the same extent, it might not have the same effects, etc., but we all have our projects, one sort or another. We all have things that we like to do that keep us busy. And for me, it's taking guns apart and putting different pieces and parts on it and seeing if that will work as well. And modifying things, hopefully making things better, but just the fun of modifying things is there. And if I'm going to modify something, I usually don't modify things that are 100% functional to begin with, which is not to say that Stribogs are absolutely terrible. They definitely have their fans out there. But a known area of concern has been the magazine issue. And the last video that I put out, which was my post 300 round review of this gun, I mentioned that the magazines, the current magazines with the still feed lips, they still have their issues, unfortunately. That issue hasn't completely gone away. So, me doing the tinkering thing, and also with the original intent behind this gun was designed, well, not designed, but bought with the intention of being a plinking gun from the beginning. I didn't buy this gun to be a serious home defense gun. I should put that out there. I like my StARpion for that. It's kind of good to go out of It's good to go out of the box. There are some ergonomic issues I've talked about in previous videos with the StARpions, but as far as functionality, they're very functional right out of the box. So not a big issue that way. The Stribogs, like I said, the magazine's still a bit of an issue. And so if they make sense as a plinking gun, but I still like things to be more reliable if I can make them. And so modifying it to take a different magazine that has a much better reputation, and one that I've personally had the experience of being able to see it in action and say, yeah, that's good, that really interests me. So I'm going to be getting a new lower to put on the Stribog, and the current lower that I am planning on doing is made by A3 Tactical. They don't actually have them available yet. They're still yet to be released. That is frankly rather annoying. I got all the other parts. I just don't have the lower to attach them all to yet. But that is something that is on the horizon that they're planning on rolling out either this month or next. Hopefully. But we'll see how that comes out, you know. If the Lord wills, the Lord wills. If the Lord does not, it's not going to happen, and I'll just have a bunch of parts sitting around. But I'm not the only one who's doing this. There's other people that have done this as well, and A3 Tactical has had a previous version of this lower that they've had out before that's done very well. They're just revamping it to kind of try to bring the cost down a little bit and make it a little bit more adaptable. That's the main reason for the changeover. But we're all waiting and, you know, hoping that that comes out. And it's been a reasonably popular thing to do with Stribogs. You know, a lot of people make Stribogs into their project gun because they're not perfect to begin with. But a lot of people like shooting them. They are fun to shoot. You know, when they're running well, either you've downloaded the magazine or happen to have a good combination of magazine and gun, etc., etc., they really are fun. And people want to improve on that and keep that. And so it's natural that they would look into different lowers and things like that. Now, people will be probably very quick to mention, well, you know, Global Ordnance is now selling the curved magazines for the Stribog, and that's true. And I have absolutely no experience with those new curved magazines for the Stribog. They might be fantastic. However, the one thing that I do know is that every single magazine that Global Ordnance has sold for the Stribog has had problems. Every single one. Whether it be the feed lips breaking, whether it be binding issues. Those are usually the two main things. Last round bolt holdup can also be an issue. No matter which magazine you're talking about and which generation of magazine that they're talking about, all of them have had issues. Like I said, I don't have experience with the curved magazines, at least not yet, but I don't have anything to go on that says that it would be a improvement over those other magazines. Global Ordnance has managed to sell a number of magazines that don't work particularly well. And I don't see that changing in that regard anytime soon. There's just no evidence based on prior experience that would tell me that yes, this is going to be a slam dunk. The new Stribog curved magazines are going to be perfect and there's going to be nothing to worry about. I don't have any evidence based on those previous magazines that would indicate that. Now, this one might be the exception. This one might be the perfect one that just solves all the issues and they all go away. Nice. But I don't think so. I think it will probably solve a lot of the binding issues, but the feed lip issues and the last round bolt hold open issues, those I don't think it'll solve. That's my personal opinion. Like I said, I haven't tested them for myself yet, so I don't know. All I'm saying is that all of the previous generations of magazines have not fixed the problem. I don't expect this one to either. But even if the new curved magazines from Global Ordnance were everything that people hope them to be, the one thing that they would not be is a 50-round magazine. This is one of the biggest reasons why I'm converting my Stribog into the StARpion, because the StARpion will be able to take the StARpion magazines that Palmetto State Armory makes with their 15-round extension on it, which allows you to put 50 rounds total in the gun. Well, technically 50 plus 1, but let's be honest, when you have 50 rounds in the magazine, the whole plus 1 thing kind of becomes just a little superfluous at this point. But a 50-round magazine in the gun, because you're using the StARpion system, has a lot to be said for it. And I have used these 50-round magazines. Well, technically it's a 35-round magazine with a 15-round extension, but I have used these things a ton in my StARpions, and I've never had issues with them. They are fantastically reliable, and they're also not overly expensive. The main 35-round magazine costs like $14, and then the extension, which is the extended piece, but it also includes a new spring because you need to get the extra length in there. That is $20. So for less than $35, I can get a 50-round magazine, compared to Global Ordnance that are selling their 30-round magazine for around $30. Pay $5 more and you get 20 more rounds. $5 more and you get 20 more rounds. Of course, plus tax, shipping, handling, all that kind of stuff. Either way, with both Palmetto State Armory and with Global Ordnance. So you're not paying a whole lot more, and you're getting a lot more. This makes more sense in terms of having extra magazines around. They're more reliable, at least than the standard Stribog magazines. I don't know about the curved Stribog magazines. Okay, I don't have one, and frankly, at this point in time, at least, I don't plan on getting any of them, just because I've had such lousy experiences with all of the previous generations of Stribog magazines. I want it to work, and I hope that everybody who buys it is happy with the product and it works out for them. But like I said, I'm not convinced that it'll take care of the feed lip issues and the last round bolt hold open issues. Hopefully, though, it should take care of the binding issues. You'd hope they'd at least get that part done. But the way that I want to go is just kind of head it off at the pass and go with a known magazine system that I know works and is very high capacity. So, going to go with an A3 tactical lower that will take the CZ StARpion magazines, and that lower, that A3 tactical lower, is such that it will allow me to put on AR grips that I like. I've come to like the MOE grips from Magpul. There's lots of different grips out there for ARs that different people like for various reasons. I have come to like the MOE grips. The MOE Plus, the Moog Plus grips, they have their disadvantages. I've talked about that in different videos. Mostly when they get wet or oil on them or something like that, they can be a little bit of a problem. But under general operating conditions for a plinker gun, they're very comfortable and I like them. And then I don't want to pour too terribly much money into this product, so for the trigger, I'm going to go with a basic drop-in trigger. That's what they recommend. That is A3 Tactical recommends for their lowers, and it has to do with the width of the hammer. A lot of the standard triggers for ARs will not work because the hammer's too wide, but most of the drop-in triggers work just fine. So I'm going to go with a 3.5 pound drop-in trigger. This is not something overly special. This is not a Timney or anything like that. As you can see, it's one of the Palmetto State ones, but it is going to be more than adequate for a plinker type gun, and it's going to be better than the trigger that the gun currently has. Like I said in my previous videos, this new flat face trigger that Global Ordnance is putting into the Ground Power product is better than the trigger that it would normally come with, but it's still fairly heavy. It's still, around 5 pounds or so, and while that's not unusual for, say, like a military grade AR, like M4, M16, something like that, that's definitely not bad. It's still not quite as light as I would prefer it to be, and so I'm going to upgrade and do something that's a little bit lighter. But at the same time, like I said, I didn't want to pour a ton of money into it, so I'm going to do just this basic model here instead of a Timney or something like that. That could be like, $200 or $300 for their drop-in triggers. This thing's a little bit closer to 120 or something like that. So a little bit more manageable. It's still a performance upgrade. It's only like 3.5 pounds, at least as advertised. So I am gaining performance in that regard. Can put whatever pistol grip on there that I want to, basically. I mean, there's a few that will be contraindicated, but for the most part, pretty much any AR pistol grip will work. And then, like I said, I get to go to the magazines that I know and love, which are the CZ StARpion magazines. So for me, this conversion over to the StARpion should make it a lot more fun for me and a lot more enjoyable, and that's what I intend it to be. It's a plinking gun, and I want it to be enjoyable and fun, so I'm going to convert it over to the things that are enjoyable and fun for me, and that whole process is enjoyable and fun for me. Yes, it is perfectly valid to say if it doesn't work out of the box, maybe look for something that will work out of the box. Perfectly valid objection. I get it. I'm with you. I just also think that there is a place for projects. And if you start with something that is pretty decent but has a couple of rough edges here and there, you have the basis of a really fun project. At least I think so. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm actually going to be doing 2 of these conversions. One is going to be for my personal gun, and then someone else that I know also has a Stribog. They have one of the earlier generation models, SP9A1 with the dual recoil rods, which was a really good generation for Stribogs, by the way. they have one of those, and they also want a similar conversion just because they're tired of dealing with the Global Ordnance magazines, because they never seem to last very long. They just don't have the best longevity and the most functionality of any magazine out there. So they're going to be making the change with me as well. And again, the lower builds that we do on them are probably going to be exactly the same. It's just the upper that they're basically going to be attached to that's going to be different. One is going to be the SP9A1, basically Gen 1 upper, and then the SP9A3 with the 45-degree American cam groove. Alright, so that is the upcoming project. Thank you all very much for your time and attention. For those of you who are in Christ, go with God and be blessed. For those of you who are not, I pray that you would come to know the true Christ of history, the only genuine Savior of mankind. Amen.